Good morning. I'm Chuck Denney with the University of Tennessee Institute of Agriculture. Welcome to the first ever State of UT live webcast with UT System President Dr. Joe DiPietro. Dr. DiPietro, good to be with you.
Great to be with you, Chuck. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Cold morning in Knoxville, but no snow and ice, so we're glad about that.
All right. I hope over the next few minutes we can share a little bit about the future of higher education in the state and answer questions that people have out there across the system.
Sounds great. All right, we'll get started then. We'll talk first of all, a week ago tonight, you were in Nashville for Governor Haslam's State of the State address.
Right.
He talked quite a bit. Well, I've heard the governor on many occasions say the key to Tennessee's future is education, K through 12, but also certainly higher ed. He talked a lot about higher ed and UT. Talk about your impressions of the speech.
Well, you know, first and foremost, Governor Haslam's very committed to higher education. It's a real pleasure to work with a governor who's like that, because indeed he not only believes that higher education is important, but he puts his money where his mouth is. So, you know, if you look at workforce preparedness, you talk about the issue of having the right availability of talented people with the right credentials to do work. Post-secondary education is very important. He also knows that, and we agree with him, that there's an iron triangle in higher education around access, affordability, quality, and workforce preparedness that's important to try to break. And you know, he announced his drive to 55, which was to look at post-secondary degrees by 2025 in the state, adults having 52% with those kinds of credentials. Right now we have around 33%. This year in his State of the State, he also, as I said earlier, put his money where his mouth's at. He fully funded the Complete College Tennessee Act formula, which rewards institutions for performance. In exchange, we've indicated that we will limit our tuition increases to 6% at our undergraduate campuses. And he's also announced a work group with UTK alumnus Randy Boyd, a local Knoxville person here, that will look at the information he's gathered during the last year in his study of higher education, along with myself. I feel very privileged to be part of that workforce. John Morgan at the Tennessee Board of Regents, the Chancellor, and Rich Rhoda, Dr. Rhoda is the Director of Tennessee Higher Education Commission. So we will be rolling up our sleeves monthly with Randy Boyd, Mr. Boyd, to look at the information and eventually make recommendations back to the governor.
All right, a couple of quick thoughts. First of all, as a UT parent myself, my son is a freshman here. I'm excited to hear about the tuition. and secondly, I want to ask you just to follow up about the Drive for 55. I mean, it is a really ambitious plan. We think about 2025, sounds like it's way off in the future, but really only 12 years, and we're talking about nearly doubling the number of people who have a degree beyond high school. Do you like the fact that it is so ambitious?
Yeah, I think you need to have stretch goals. This is a tough goal to get to. You know, if you think about completion statistics in our state from the standpoint of 6-year graduation rates, I'm very proud of our system in the fact that we rank in the top 4, Knoxville being 1, UT Martin being 2, and then UT Chattanooga at 4. But, you know, we have to get even better because we have to be more efficient in producing degrees, because we don't have a lot of capacity to expand the number of people we enroll. So I think it's a very, very ambitious goal, but I think it will drive Tennessee to be a much stronger state economically, bring greater businesses into the communities in our state because they know we have a trained workforce, and it's a very admirable thing.
Now the governor's proposal, budget proposal is out. Tell us about funding potential for UT regarding his budget proposal.
Well, this is the strongest budget we've seen in several years that Governor Haslam's put together. To begin with, there's capital outlay money for the Health Science Center in Memphis from the standpoint of some renovations of some older buildings there that'll produce research space, educational space, as well as research administrative space. Here at UTK, there's money in this budget to finally convert the steam plant to gas from coal, which we think is very, very important, $25 million to do that. It'll help us continue to green up the valley here and continue to advance our green footprint. There's a pilot program with our College of Engineering in Knoxville at the UTK campus to expand our engineering enrollment, because that's a supply-demand curve that's out of whack. Businesses across the state are looking for more engineers, so we're very happy about that one as well. There's money to help us recompete the supercomputer. It's very important that we be one of those 3 centers across the nation. It makes us a destination for tech companies. It provides us time for our faculty and staff to do research on that computer. It allows computational capabilities that very few places in the nation have. Our non-formative units, on the other hand, we're still trying to work with legislators and the administration in regard to what we hear as an oversight and the fact that they were not included from the standpoint of an additional appropriation. We've heard that that will be taken care of with a budget amendment so that they hopefully will see an increase in appropriation. And lastly, there is a raise recommendation for an across-the-board increase of 1.5%. So it's a very strong budget. We're very happy. I was smiling during the entire State of the State address, and that doesn't always happen.
Right, and we want to make it clear to employees, 1.5% pay increase.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, the State of the State kind of kicks off the spring legislative session.
Sure does.
And talk about some other items that you think the legislature is going to take up this spring.
Well, I think actually this week there'll be some movement on a guns bill of some sort. That's what our government relations people are telling us. We continue to be concerned about that. We feel the expansion of availability of guns in any way on campus is not a good thing. So we'll be working based on whatever legislation is introduced, but we think that's inevitable. The other thing we've heard is that the lottery scholarship program may again be challenged from the standpoint that the lottery revenues haven't been as significant as they estimated, and as a consequence, whether there'll be another issue about the 2 parameters that provide a lottery scholarship, that being ACT scores and your GPA in high school will be connected in order to decrease the cost of the program to the state so we can stay closer to budget. That gives you, there'll be other things that come up along the way. There always are. We've got a great group of people who work in our government relations area. I spend significant time in Nashville, probably a few times a week during the session, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Now, UT employees, what can they do to help out on some of these issues?
Well, it's interesting. In our strategic plan that we completed and the board approved, our board of trustees in June, we indicated that goal 5 was advocating for UT. Mm-hmm. So we've developed a new advocacy program. In fact, that council met this weekend on Saturday. We have an advocacy council. It's probably 70 or 80 strong of people throughout the state who are willing to advocate locally, because all politics are local. I mean, every legislator, every agency office I go into in Nashville expects me to advocate for UT. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to develop a network of people through this advocacy council to make it a local enterprise so that somebody who lives in a particular district where there's an important decision being made by that elected official can walk in or email or call that individual and tell them that here's the position of the university and I hope you'll support it. We also have a website around the Advocacy Council. It's advocacy.tennessee.edu, and our Twitter handle on that is @UTAdvocators. So we've got a mechanism in place to quickly mobilize that group of people, and we look for other people to sign up on that Twitter account and help us too.
Sure, it's like anything. One individual can only do so much, but if we band together,
right.
some
We're
things
much
get
stronger.
Sure, sure. One other thing I wanted to ask real quick about the State of the State that I thought was kind of cool was that we had proof positive that any place is a classroom. We had a group of government students from here who got to attend. Right. Talk about that. I thought that was kind of a neat experience for them.
It's always great to have our students mingle with our elected officials because they invariably are impressed. So the ability for them to not only take in what the State of the State is about and kind of that environment about how legislation gets done is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And then they always are impressive and impress our elected officials about the quality and caliber of people that we have in our program. So it's always delightful to have them there.
Yeah, great. All right, well, we're going to take some questions now, if you're ready. These were sent to us from across the state by email and Twitter. Our first question is from an employee at UT Martin on pay increases. The question is, why is it that when pay raises come around, the upper pay grades always get the greatest amount? For instance, $1,000 or 3%, whatever is greater. How would you respond to that, Dr. DiPietro?
Well, as I said earlier, our situation right now with the state from the standpoint of the governor's proposal is a 1% across the board increase in pay, cost of living adjustment. We hope to add to that from the standpoint of merit and market pay, and we're working on that with the chancellors right now and the vice presidents. You know, we've just completed in my first year a Simpson study looking at compensation for all the positions in the university, led by our Compensation Advisory Board. And we have some pretty big gaps. I don't debate that. And so when we allocate our pay raises and we have a flat amount and then a percentage amount throughout all the other grades, the flat amount is in an effort to take those people who are at the lower end of the pay scale, move them up more quickly. And at the upper end, you've got this issue with them as well, at retaining them and them being some distance from the median for their compensation in our assessment, of trying to move them in that direction too. So it's an effort to deal with market and merit as well as COLA. It's a very holistic approach.
All right. And our next question comes from an employee here in Knoxville, sent to us by Twitter. It says, when will gay employees get to give benefits, i.e. health care, to their same-sex partners at UT? How would you respond to that?
Well, the first thing I would say is, you know, across our system and all components of the UT system, all campuses and institutes, we want to be opening and welcoming to everybody. And you know, what we have here is a very, very tough issue. We're aware of this concern, but there's constitutional law and statutory law that really does not make it possible for us to provide benefits to domestic partners or gay partners. We'll continue to watch federal policy from the standpoint of the Supreme Court activities and cases that will be heard, and we'll consider what we can do. We're aware of the concerns, and we'll try to see where we go based on the federal rulings that might come down that advantage us in this perspective.
And again, whether the issue is compensation or benefits, you would like people to know what? That you are considering all aspects of these issues.
Right. I mean, you know, we value everybody. We're just in a difficult circumstance, like I said earlier, over the laws of the state and the Constitution of the state that defines what a marriage is. And the statutory law that mandates that we get our benefits from the state of Tennessee, and that's a policy of our benefits group in Nashville.
All right. And our next question comes from UT Chattanooga. We hear a lot, Dr. DiPietro, about the non-traditional student, someone who might be interested in evening and online classes. And this question is, when will UTC be expanding the curriculum to include more of these evening and online classes?
Yeah. Well, you know, my prediction is we're going to have to do more of this. You know, the drive to 55 that we talked about, that the governor mentioned in his State of the State address, will push us that direction. We think that as Chattanooga, we're searching for a new chancellor there. As Chattanooga hires that new chancellor, a key issue will be, how do you increase access and how do you use online to improve your completion rates? I told you they were ranked 4, but they can improve with their 6-year graduation rates. We've tasked an implementation team on our strategic plan under enhancing educational excellence. It's goal 1, to look at asynchronous learning and online activities to not only improve our portfolio. We have about 600 courses now, Chuck, online, and about 40 degree programs online across our system, but also to see if we can't partner up and develop online pathways with TBR, the Board of Regents schools, so that we can use their set of online courses alongside ours to enhance programs like at Chattanooga, and to have more online access and have courses that you can take online and complete a degree program.
And even my son here in Knoxville, a traditional student, lives on campus. Even he likes the online and the evening. So
you know, as you might know, I've been around universities a long time now, some 33 or 4 years. And the one thing that I'll predict is the way I used to teach in a classroom in which, you know, I stood up and I lectured to 80 or 90 veterinary students, or in small labs, is a thing of the past. I mean, I think you're going to do that kind of transmission of information asynchronously via the web and other medias, and that, you know, to develop teamwork experiences and build on those skills that are what you call soft skills, critical thinking skills. You're going to meet in quiz sections or small groups. And so it won't be unusual for a residential student like your son to take both sets of, or types of courses, a traditional face-to-face and an online course.
Yeah, he's already experienced that.
Yeah.
All right, one last final question from the Health Science Center. And it asks, are there any plans in the near future to offer a buyout for employees with 25 plus years of service from the UT Health Science Center?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not aware of anything like that from the standpoint of the Health Science Center, and no plans that are currently out there in that regard. I have seen that done in cases where, particularly like in '08 when we went through tough budget times, where we had remarkably difficult and challenging reductions, to look at retirement incentive packages, voluntary separation packages in order to make budget. But I don't know of no plans like that at Memphis right now.
All right. Well, thanks, Dr. DiPietro, and that concludes our question and answer session. I know that the UT is a big organization from one end of the state to the other, and hopefully this gave people an opportunity to hear about a couple of key issues and learn about them, and you would encourage people to contact you about some of these things.
Sure. And you know, you can drop me an email. You can watch us on our Twitter account and see where we're at and what we're up to. You can retweet us. You can probe us via Twitter too, from the standpoint of my office or myself. You know, I try to visit these campuses frequently. You know, this is a system. I just happen to live in Knoxville and have an office here, but you know, we have six components to the system across the state. All of them are important, and it's very important, and it's a unique aspect of the University of Tennessee from the standpoint of that. You know, all of them participate in advancing our programs that allow us to educate, discover, and connect. And UT makes a difference in so many people's lives. I've seen it firsthand, whether it be a 4-H student somewhere in Hamilton County, or a medical treatment that comes out of Memphis that cures a terrible disease and makes somebody better, or whether it be educating undergraduate or graduate students at Knoxville, Chattanooga, or Martin, and improving their stake in their lives from the standpoint of the kind of job they can get and the benefit to society. So, you know, we think that the future of our state and UT are really inextricably linked, and that, you know, if we do well, Tennessee will do well. And so, you know, it's very, very important to realize that bricks and mortar are what buildings are made out of on these campuses or institutes, but it's really the people that get the work done, that educate in our classrooms. They have breakthrough discoveries in research laboratories that provide solutions to difficult problems and connect with the people all across the state. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody out there in our UT family for all they do to advance our university in so many, many important ways. And it's with great frequency I hear people say to me at a reception or via email, "Thank you so very much for what the University of Tennessee has done for me or my family or my children."
Well, and something I hear all the time from people too is, you got people at the university who can do that? You know, I think that's kind of neat, and we do just, our greatest thing is our people who work for us. Great.
No, it is. I mean, you know, it's a privilege to have this job, and I learn something almost every day. And continue to be impressed with the place, the people that work here, and really, really love Tennessee.
Right. Well, Dr. DiPietro, thanks so much. It's great
You're welcome.
seeing you
Good
again.
seeing you, Chuck.
And thank you for watching. If you would like, you can, we'll be archiving this webcast on tennessee.edu for those who weren't able to watch it live today. So thanks for being with us, and have a great week.
Thank you.